Hey everyone, it's David from Social Expression. Really pleased to have an awesome special guest, somebody who I've worked with alongside with for many years now, Dr. Robert Glover. And Dr. Robert Glover is a men's dating and lifestyle coach. He's also been trained as a therapist, but he really moved into the coaching world because he knew he could be more effective, really help people, and really help men, especially. I mean, he works with men and women too, but mainly focuses on men and having them better, helping them have better dating, sex, relationship lives. So I'm really happy to have Robert here today, and welcome, Robert.
Thanks, David. Good to be here. Good to chat with you again. It's always fun.
So we've been working alongside each other for a couple years now. I took your courses in the past, and you saw what I was doing and liked what I was doing, and asked me to start teaching for you, which has been a great experience. Um, Tell us your story. Give us the nickel tour, the 5-minute version of what got you here today, and kind of what you went through to not only have improved your life in dating and in relationships and all that, but to come to help men and women too in bettering their lives.
Sure. Yeah, I could come at it from several different angles, but I guess I'll take this track that I'm a recovering nice guy. And if you'd met me 20 years ago, I would have told you I'm a nice guy. I'd tell you I'm one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. And I thought, why doesn't everybody try to be as nice as they can? And I was always trying to please people. I was worried about what they thought about me. I was always trying, to look good at whatever I did. And I thought, hey, that's a really, solid paradigm for living life. Now, my own professional and personal process is that I was originally trained to be a minister, which was probably part of my nice guy process, and then discovered that I loved psychology. So in that process, just kept going to school and got my PhD in marriage and family therapy. So I'd been a minister in the past several years ago, like a whole nother life, and then became a marriage and family therapist. And when I became confronted with this dynamic that being a nice guy maybe had some flaws to it, I was in my second marriage, and I had a practice in marriage and family therapy, and I was seeing couples and individuals, and my now ex-wife, my second wife, confronted me one day. She says, I've had enough. I've had enough of your passive aggressiveness, your indirectness. I can't trust you. I never know when you're going to stab me in the back, when you're going to just blow up, and I don't know. See it coming, and I'm thinking, me? I'm the problem. You're the one that's never happy. You're the one that's angry all the time. You're the one that doesn't appreciate anything that I do. You're the one that never wants to have sex. I'm the problem. And she says, if you want to stay married to me, you got to go get some therapy. You got to go get some help. So I did. I went to a men's group and went to a therapist, and initially with the idea of trying to figure out why me being a nice guy wasn't making my wife treat me any better than she did. And then my very first session with a therapist, she taught me about boundaries. I thought, oh man, that's amazing. I was in my 30s, on my second marriage, had a PhD in marriage and family therapy. I'd never even heard of boundaries. And so from there, continued to progress, several years in men's groups, and began to look at patterns in my life. And it probably wasn't until I was maybe a couple years into therapy that I began to identify my life paradigm as a nice guy pattern, a nice guy syndrome. I started learning about my covert contracts, the things I would do for other people, and in return thinking they would do things back. And covert contracts are, if I do this for you, then you'll do this for me. So whether it's if I'm good to you, you'll like me and love me, or if I meet your needs without you having to ask, then you'll meet my needs without me having to ask. Or if I do everything right, or at least never be exposed for doing anything wrong, then I'll have a smooth, problem-free world. Now, I began to realize that paradigm doesn't work for many reasons. Number one, we don't live in a smooth, problem-free world. Number two, if I'm unconscious of my motivations, nobody else is going to know about them. And giving to get is actually not nice. It's not loving. It's manipulative. And in my case, it was always underground. And then I would feel resentful, and I would get passive aggressive. I'd have what my ex-wife called victim pukes, where I'd kind of put up enough of her behavior long enough, and I'd finally just blow up, and it wasn't very pretty. And as I began working on me, I started noticing a lot of the guys coming to me with their girlfriends or their wives for relationship counseling had the exact same complaints I did. I could finish their sentences for them. They'd say, hey, I'm a nice guy. You know, I do everything right. I treat her better than her ex-husband did. I'm raising her kids. I do everything for her. I cook. I put up with this. I do this. She's always angry. She's never happy. She never wants to have sex. It's never good enough. When's it going to be my turn? And I thought, man, I can finish their sentences. I know exactly what they're talking about because those are all the things I had thought and said. So I realized this thing about nice guy syndrome was a lot bigger than just me, just thinking, oh, I'm the only one that thinks this way. I started realizing a lot of guys in our culture have been trained to please women, to be overly concerned about what people think about them, to try to always do it right, to be perfect, or at least to appear perfect, to never look foolish, to never make a mistake, to be deceptive, to live with covert contracts, to hide things about themselves they think other people might not like or approve of. So I started a men's group, a No More Mr. Nice Guy men's group. We met every other week. Every other week I wrote a lesson to give to them. And as the group evolved and kind of their wives and girlfriends started liking the differences in their lives, people started saying, Robert, you should write a book. You should go on Oprah. This could be a bestseller. A lot of people need it. So I kept writing, and it eventually did become a book. It was published in 2003. It's still going strong. The royalty checks keep getting bigger every year. So apparently a lot of people are reading it. A lot of people are recommending it. It's been translated into 8, 10, 12 languages. So it's really struck a lot of people out there. Now, as my process continued, pretty much all the work I do with men, with people in general, often is a reflection of my own internal work. So my own nice guy work, as I worked on, learning to set boundaries, learning to be clear and direct, learning to be honest, learning to make my needs a priority, learning to be transparent, learning to set the tone and take the lead in my life and my relationships. So as I was learning those things, I started teaching other men. And then about the time my book was published, like I said, about 12, 13 years ago, I also got divorced from my second wife. And I got out there, and I hadn't dated since college, and I hadn't done it very well back then. And what I would often say, I was married to 2 women for 25 years, neither of whom I should have dated more than 3 dates. So I decided if I was going to date, by this time in my mid-40s, I had to do 2 things. Number one, I had to learn how to be a better picker. I had to learn how to date more higher quality women, women that were a better match for me, and who would bless my life as I blessed theirs. The second thing I realized is I had to be a better ender. That being a good ender covers a multitude of sins if you're a bad picker. And if you think about it, dating pretty much always is a risk. You're picking. You don't know the quality of a person until you actually spend some time with them. And then when you begin to realize either they're not a high-quality person, or they're not a good match for you, or there's just no connection or chemistry, that's where being a good ender is crucial. So I began to focus on both those things, learning how to date more effectively. I read books. I listened to, watched videos. I read, there's a lot of material out there. My clients just started giving it to me. And I would read all this stuff, and I'd just go out and just practice. Really, I just literally go out and practice. I'd practice talking to women, asking for their phone numbers. Even if I didn't plan on taking them out, I'd practice. And so I started actually becoming pretty successful at dating. I was getting a lot of dates, and my sex life just, boom, went through the roof. I didn't know what planet I'd landed on. All these women were wanting to have sex with me on first and second dates. I had women propositioning me. And I'm thinking, I don't know this world. I don't know this planet, because I'd always co-created systems with women. I tended to pick women who were wounded and didn't like lots of sex. And so it just kind of reaffirmed for me, women aren't interested in sex and don't want to have sex with me. So my world got turned upside down, both through working on my nice guy issues, but also learning how to date effectively. And my clients started asking me, what are you doing? Teach us, teach us. And so I had to kind of start codifying what it was I was doing. I was just being me and just practicing things. So I started to codify it, and out of that I did a workshop, and out of that it turned into 4 online dating courses that I teach on my online university. And things as simple as learning how to test for interest, learning how the 3 steps of learning how high a person's interest is in having an interaction with you. And it's very simple, and it's very effective, and it also has very powerful effects on other people, whether you're talking to a man or a woman. I learned about from salsa dancing, learning to set the tone and take the lead and be bold in the direction that I'm going, and be bold in inviting people to follow along and come join me in my process. Started learning a lot of things that not only worked really well for dating, but just kept expanding my life. And I don't think this is paradoxical or even ironical, but the better dater I became, the better my life became. Because I started applying those skills I was applying, meeting women and connecting and leading, I started applying them to life. My business took off and got better. Everything around me just seemed to blossom. Started making more money. It seems like I had friends, more people were interested in hanging out with me. I started venturing down to Mexico, and I now live here. Last few years, half the year, but it's getting close to I'm living, 3/4 of the year down here in Mexico, the rest of the time in Seattle. So my life took off as I started applying these skills to relationship, both dating and to when I would be with a woman for a longer period of time. A lot of things became apparent. So kind of the big milestones for me was kind of becoming aware of the nice guy syndrome, learning to date effectively and apply those generalized skills to all areas of my life. And then another big piece hit me that kind of ties them all together. And I mentioned that I live in Mexico, and prior to moving here, I think it was about 2008, around then. I was down here for a week. I was running on the beach. I was running a bunch of stairs, and I don't know where this even came from. But about the time I got to the top of these stairs, I'm sweating, I'm dripping. This kind of thought came to my head that women need emotional tension to be attracted to a man. And I just froze. And then I kind of played that a couple more times, and then my brain started adding to kind of additional information. And so within about 5 minutes, it began to coalesce into that women need emotional tension to be attracted to a man, to stay attached to a man in long-term relationships, and to feel physical, sexual passion towards a man. Now, I began to realize a lot of things in that moment. Everything I'd done wrong with women, things I'd done right without knowing why I did it, things that I didn't understand about women in the past became clear to me. And I ran back to the room, the bed and breakfast I was staying at here in Puerto Vallarta, and literally I got out a legal pad, I always have these around, pulled out a legal pad, and I wrote like 11 pages, a dozen pages of application of that concept, that women have to have emotional tension. Now, you and I are going to talk more about what that means, what it looks like, what's the difference between positive emotional tension and negative emotional tension. It doesn't matter to the woman, actually. It can be positive or negative, but they have to have emotional tension. They got to feel something in their body. There's got to be a vibration, a buzz in them for them to be attracted to a man and want to connect and perhaps want to have sex with him and to stay connected to that man over time. Now, we'll also talk about things men fail to do to create emotional tension for women. So I work with so many guys that tell me, I'm just not good with women. Women just aren't attracted to me. I just must not be good looking enough. I guess I'm too old, or I'm losing my hair, or I don't have enough money. I say, nope, that's all horseshit. None of that really matters.
Those are all excuses.
None of it matters.
None of those matter. What matters most is vibe, personality, all these kinds of things. Absolutely.
But if we believe them to be true, we're going to act as if they're true. But really what I found, none of those things are usually the issue for most men. The issue is they don't create any emotional tension for women. So we'll talk more about that. Things when men fail to do it, add one other piece here, and then when women create emotional tension with us, often negative, but sometimes positive, we men don't like emotional tension, especially in relationship, and then we'll do everything under the sun to kill it, right?
Yeah.
So here, women need it to feel attracted and stay attached to us, right. And we're either not creating it, or when the woman creates it, we kill it. So cool. That's all the stuff we can deal with here.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all that and telling us how you got to where you are now and your current evolution, which is really exciting. I'm really excited and love hearing about it. Totally agree with that. So let's back up a little bit too, because I know you have a really cool process. You have some really strong fundamentals that you help guys with as far as improving their dating lives. Some really cool pillars or simple steps. Can you talk a little bit about those? Explain those a little bit
Sure,
for.
I'll share a couple of them with you. Just kind of my basic premise about expanding your social and emotional intelligence, and we'll talk a little bit about testing for interest because it is so key, so powerful, and most men have no clue how to do it. A lot of people do it naturally. Salesmen tend to do it. Women are better at it than men, actually. So first of all, even though I teach 4 online dating courses, I often say, actually, I'm not a dating coach. I'm definitely not a pickup coach. That's not my style. It's not who I am. It's not what I teach. I think it's actually condescending to both the man and the woman to just go out and see if I can get the prettiest woman I can get to boost my ego or brag to my friends or whatever. But because a lot of the guys come to me because they're struggling getting dates, they're struggling connecting with women, and they want to have a woman in their life. They want to have sex. They come to me to learn to date. And actually, so I use their desire to learn to date as a vehicle for expanding their social and emotional intelligence. And I would say that probably well over half of the men that come to me with dating problems, a core part of their dating problems, they're just not social at all. They do not connect socially at all.
Completely agreed. So much of that I see too.
So it's not even a matter they're not good looking enough or don't have enough money. They're just not social. So my basic premise, and for people that are listening to this interview right now, if they've heard any of my Dating Essentials podcasts, and I think I've got over 100 of them, they all end with the following formula. Get out of the house, expand your route, linger in public, talk to the people you meet, test for interest, and walk through the open doors. And it's that simple, and most guys don't like that. They actually want the magic pill or this formula that says, okay, when I talk to a woman, how do I do this to get a pretty woman to want her to take her clothes off and have sex with me? I go, I don't know actually what that magic pill or that magic formula is. But I tell guys, if you wait till you see a woman you're attracted to, or let's just say you're being social, let's say there's this another guy and you think, hey, it might be neat to connect with that guy. If you wait until you see somebody that you want to connect with to actually start practicing your social skills, one of 2 things will probably happen. You either will do nothing, and then so nothing happens, or if you do something, it'll be awkward, you'll be anxiety-ridden, you won't be bold, you won't take the lead, you won't be yourself, and it'll probably go flat, and you'll just think, oh, well, I guess that person isn't interested in me. I guess I'm just not an interesting person. So I tell guys, practice these skills every single day until they become second nature, till you develop a social confidence, till it just feels like this is what you do. And so get out of the house. I tell guys, miracles happen around people. And unless you got a bunch of people hanging out in your living room, if you don't get out of the house, no miracles. Xbox ain't going to bring you miracles. Surfing the internet ain't going to bring you miracles. Watching Big Bang Theory isn't going to bring you miracles, right? They happen around people. When you're around people, you
it's not bringing banging to watch the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, you got to bring someone home. You got to go find your penny to come watch, Big Bang with you. So get out of the house. Then I tell guys to expand their route. One thing about us guys is we love routine. If we find a pair of pants, a pair of shoes, a shirt we like, we want to go buy 5 of them and just wear them every day. That works real well for us. And then 5 years later, when we go back to the store and want to buy the same shirt, pants, or shoes, and they don't have it, we freak out. We like routine. We're creatures of routine. And so if you do the same routine every day, if you get up, drive to work, sit in your cubicle, eat by yourself in the lunchroom, go home, maybe stop and pick up some food, maybe stop at the gym, and then go home and watch TV, no miracles. Get out of your routine. Expand your route. I tell guys all the time, I live in Starbucks. Everybody that knows me teases me, oh, you going to the office? Yeah, headed to Starbucks. They got Wi-Fi. I could do all my work. All my work's done on this laptop that I'm talking to you right now. It's my office, it's my world, it's my business.
Same here.
I go to Starbucks because if I sit at home and do the work, I have Wi-Fi in my house. I'm not around people, so I go to Starbucks just to be around people. And I've met many great acquaintances and friends and even people that develop into relationships where they're also teaching or developing online courses for me. So just being around people, and I go to, when I'm back in Seattle, I go to 4 or 5 different Starbucks. I don't go to the same one every day. I rotate the Starbucks I go to. Yep. So keep expanding your route. Talk to the people you meet. It doesn't have to be anything more than how's your day going so far. Oh man,
Right.
is it going to quit raining? Or how about them Broncos? Whatever it is, just say something, anything. It doesn't matter. It's not rocket science, and you're not trying to make anything happen. You're just social pleasantry, and that's stage one of the testing paradigm that I'll share with you. Just say something. You're not trying to make anything happen. You're just starting a social interaction. And then as you learn to test for interest and engage with people, interesting things happen. You may realize, hey, this is a person I'd like to connect with. Maybe a woman I want to ask out, maybe a guy I want to go to a ball game or talk more about business with or whatever. So when that happens, walk through the open door. When a door opens up, don't think to yourself, oh, they wouldn't be interested, or I better not ask, or I'll be intruding. Be bold. Test it at a very bold level. Say, hey, does a woman hold up your phone and say, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Give me your number. I'm going to give you a call. Let's go meet up for happy hour later this week. Or if it's a guy, hey, this has been an interesting conversation. I got to split, but let's get coffee. Let's get coffee later this week and let's talk some more about this stuff. So walk through the open door and let something happen. Now you notice there's a progression there. You didn't just go out and say, I'm going to make something happen today. You just got out of the house. You went different places. You talked to the people you met. You tested for interest, and when the doors opened up, you walked through. Now, it's that simple. Now, unfortunately, most guys want to make it more complicated than that. They go, okay, Dr. Glover, I get that. But what if I see this smoking hot woman across the room, and I want to go get her number so she'll go out with me? Yeah. I don't know. I don't teach that. I said, and approaching a woman just because she's hot is the worst possible reason for approaching her. Now, you don't know a goddamn thing about her. Is she nice? Is she generous? Is she loving? Is she
could be a total stalker crazy. You don't know.
You don't know. And I tell guys, hey, beauty is only skin deep, but mean, bitchy, it lasts forever. You don't know. But if you're standing here talking to someone,
don't you?
I've been there, done that. I've married it. So, but if you're standing here talking to somebody in line at Starbucks, or you're sitting next to them on the bus riding to work, and there's chemistry, you connect, you engage, whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter. And then say it's a woman sitting next to you, and you notice she's kind of cute. Not only is she kind of cute, I'm enjoying having an interaction with her, but it began as an interaction, not with she's cute, how can I get her to like me? You aren't trying to get someone to like you. You're just having an interaction, and if something grows, fantastic. If not, hey, you had an interaction, and you made your world and their world a better place.
I want to point out something you said there that is, I think, really, really important for people to hear that went by very quickly. And it ties back to the fact that you said, well, a guy asks me, hey, how do I get the woman across the room? Very outcome dependent, which we know where that gets us. Misery, suffering. Instead of, you said, I'm enjoying. And the word enjoy, I see it as n-joy, to be enjoy. You are enjoying yourself. And because you're enjoying yourself, you're kind of like, yeah, I think I like this connection we have here. Maybe she could be a part of my life.
And that, without you even realizing it, is creating emotional tension. It doesn't matter if you're chatting with a guy and all of a sudden you both have this vibe that, hey, we both like this same sports team, or we like this internet program, or we're both into this same thing. Now there's an emotional tension that bonds you to the other person, and you want to spend more time with them because it feels good.
That's the positive emotional tension, right?
It is. And for a woman, we men think women evaluate us in the same way we evaluate them. And they don't. And for the most part, they don't. There might be a little overlap. But because all we tend to evaluate in a woman is she's significantly younger than me and hotter than what I think I can get, and hot enough that my buddies will think she's hot. That's our primary evaluation. For women, yes, it can be sometimes around security issues. Yes, it may be around are you really great looking, or look like you have a lot of money, you're driving a nice car. Yes, it can be. But in general, it's how you make them feel. It's an emotional tension that they feel something. It is a vibration. It's a warmth. It's a wetness down there that they feel, and they go, I'm feeling something. and they want more of that. And so when a woman feels something with you that feels good inside of her that she wasn't feeling before she started talking to you or started having a connection with you, if she didn't start feeling it till she came into your presence, and now in your presence she feels it, guess what she's going to want to do? She's going to want to be in your presence more because she wants to keep feeling that good vibe that she's feeling inside. That's what I call the positive emotional tension. Now, guys will still say, but what is that? What does that mean? And the two best analogies I know to give guys. One is a sports analogy, especially if guys are into sports. I'll ask them, all right, you go to a game, and let's say, I know you're from Denver. I don't know if you're a Bronco fan or not, but
Of course, baby.
I of course, I've become a Seahawk fan, but we won't get into Super Bowl talk here. I'm born and raised in Seattle, but Seattle sports teams have sucked my entire lifetime. The Sonics, years ago when I was like 19, won a championship, and our women's basketball, the WNBA team won a championship, but finally the Seahawks won a Super Bowl and then almost won a second. So I'm a Seahawk fan. Okay. I will talk about the Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Broncos. I was with a giant group of people here in Mexico watching it in this giant outdoor bar restaurant, really cool place, great vibe going on. From the very beginning, Seahawks are kicking ass. I mean, they're scoring like, what, the first 12 seconds on a safety. And all of a sudden, what happened here? Because the Broncos were supposed to beat the Seahawks. They were favored. And then all of a sudden, halftime, when we come out of the half and score a touchdown on the second half kickoff, and all of a sudden it's starting to be laughable, all of a sudden the tension that had us glued, oh no, Broncos are supposed to beat us, oh no, hey, we're getting ahead, oh man, this is exciting. And by the time it's 43-8 at the end of the game, you're over here doing something else and talking, not even watching the end.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it happens all the time in sport.
Okay, that's tension. When it was a close game and you didn't know the outcome and it was a closely fought battle, you're in there. You're got butterflies. You're chewing your nails. You're saying, come on. You got your lucky rag with you. You're doing whatever. And then when it gets to be 43-8, you're going. The players on the sidelines, they're not even in it anymore. They're laughing and joking and pouring Gatorade on each other. The tension's gone. We lose interest.
Yeah.
So that's one analogy. The other analogy that I show, like when I do a workshop and I have like the giant PowerPoint screen going on, I've got this picture of it's basically just this much of a woman's bust, torso. So black lacy bra with nice round, they're artificial, fake boobs, but they look fantastic in a black lacy bra. And I just flash that picture on the screen. These great looking boobs in a black lacy bra. That's all you see in the picture. No face, no body, just boobs. And it goes up. And I ask the guys, okay, did you have to think about that? No, you didn't have to think anything. You just felt it. You saw boobs. Mother Nature wired you to have a reaction to nice-looking boobs. And I asked guys, did you have to think, do I want to look at those some more? Would I like to touch those if they were actually on a real person around me? Or would I like to have sex with a person that owns those boobs? You don't even have to think. You don't have to ask. Mother Nature wired you to feel something that says, yeah, maybe our brain dies when we see the boobs, but we know we want them. Okay, that's tension. It's emotional tension. Now, when it comes to women, they often experience it in very different ways. Not so much about our body parts. It is about how they feel just because of who we are, our presence, how we
presence, our state of being, basically, being as a man.
Just how we show up with them to be ourselves. Now, the thing is, you can go out and practice, you can run some pickup lines, you can do some stuff, you can bust on them, you can do whatever, and it does create some tension. But that kind of tension is hard to sustain. The kind of tension where you are being you, where you're showing up and you're being present and you're being conscious and you're being honest and you're being transparent and you're setting the tone and taking the lead and you're being playful and you're being engaging, that kind of tension can be maintained indefinitely, and women want to keep coming back for that.
Yep. And presence is in those moments, because I did a bunch of pickup in the past, and I believe you too. You can say the line or say the thing, and then when it's over, how do you show up? And women can so fucking feel that.
Because you're like this, and then all of a sudden you go like that because you got nothing else.
Yeah, exactly.
You ran your game. What is there now? And the woman's going, that's it? That's your best
shot?
What you got now? Now, if she's a drunk 22-year-old with low self-esteem, maybe you can hold her attention for a little while, bullshitting her. But if she's an integrated woman, and if she isn't drinking, and if she's got a good sense of self, she wants a real live person to show up and be who he is and set the tone and take the lead and be an honest what you see is what you get kind of guy, and he doesn't hold back, and he's not trying to win her approval, and he's not trying to get her to like him. He likes himself. If she's going to show up and hang out with him, great. But he ain't going to try to get her to like him, because why would he do that? He's being himself, and that naturally just attracts people. He doesn't have to go seduce people or get them to like him. He's him. People that like him, great. People that don't like him, great. It doesn't matter. So that's where I try to lead men and teach men. And most guys say, well, if I'm just myself, nobody seems interested in me. And what I'll usually say is, actually, that's not true. And can't remember the guy's name now. He wrote a internet marketing book. Scott's his first name. Can't think of his last name. But he said, when you are being you, your own unique self, you have no competition. There's no one else like you. You are unique. And when you're being you, but here's the problem. Most guys say, well, if I'm just me, people won't like me. But the problem is most guys aren't really themselves. If you're trying to get somebody to like you, you're not being yourself. You're not being true to yourself. You're not being honest. You're not being transparent. You're thinking things but not saying them. You're repressing your wants, your desires, your impulses. Things come to the tip of your tongue, but you don't blurt them out because you second guess and say, well, what if I offend them? Or they don't like it, or they think I'm a jerk. So you're not actually being you. You're being the pseudo-you that you think you need to be in order to not do anything wrong and make everything be smooth, and so you'll look nice so a woman will want to be with you. But the thing I keep telling men, nice does not turn women on. In fact, it doesn't turn anybody on. I don't care if there's a guy you're trying to just connect with to go mountain biking or rock climbing. You being nice is not going to turn him on. It's not going to make him want to connect. Because nice is about trying to get approval. It's about trying to be smooth. It's about trying to do nothing wrong. It's worrying too much about how you're coming across instead of just being you. Be you. If you have a thought, say it. If you have a sense of humor, let it come out. If you're smart, be smart. If you're shy, just own it. Hey, I'm shy, but I want to talk to you. Be you. Don't hold it back. Don't repress it. And the more you are bold and just let the real you come out and take risk and take chances and get out of your comfort zone, that creates the buzz. That creates the emotional tension. That creates a thing that people are just magnetically pulled in by. You don't have to seduce them. You don't have to entertain them. You don't have to play games with them. You don't have to impress them. You just draw them into you because the way you walk the planet, the way you're just you and comfortable being in your own skin.
It's your reality, your world, your life. Now, something that I want to pull out that I think is interesting too is, and I noticed for me in working with is, you talk about desire and impulse, and there's a way to do it like, here's what I want, and I don't actually, it's about expressing the desire or impulse, but it's actually not about getting the thing, getting the sex, getting the woman. Because what can happen is cycle between, okay, here's my desire, now I really want it, and then that neediness that comes up, or whether it's getting people to like you. What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that?
I agree with you 100%. Now, I'll tell guys, my biggest challenge, hurdle, and sometimes frustration in working with men is that we can be so goddamn black and white. Okay? Yeah. You say one thing, okay, I got to do it that way. So, for example, in my testing my PET course, Positive Emotional Tension, I got a 4-week online course. Right now, I'm just starting to teach it for the 3rd time. And every time I've offered it, it's blown up every enrollment record I've ever had for any course on my university. So apparently the men are drawn to it. But I tell you what, in every lesson I make a statement, and in almost every post I make in response to a question, in every video that I do, in every podcast I make, in every live Q&A I do with the guys, I'll say, okay, this is not a technique. This is not a thing you do A, B, C, and then all of a sudden women want to take their clothes off with you. It's not a technique to get you from point A to point B. But that's the black and white thing that for us guys. We go, well, I want to get to point B. I want to be with an attractive woman and I want to have sex. So tell me how to do A to get me to point B. There is no A that gets you to point B. We're black and white about that. So going back to the question about the impulse, I tell guys, one reason why you don't get laid is you've hidden your sexual agenda. You've repressed it. You pushed it down. Why? Maybe because you're a nice guy and you think, oh, it makes me a bad person that I want to have sex with a woman. Or it makes me a bad person that those boobs on the screen that Dr. Glover just showed turn me on. That makes me bad. Because
social conditioning, bullshit beliefs.
Conditioning, religion. I grew up conservative religious church, society. I grew up with feminism in the 60s. That all men are bad. Objectifying women is the worst thing you can possibly do. No, Mother Nature wired us to objectify women. I mean, those boobs turn us on for a reason. Mother Nature wants us turned on. Now, here's the problem, is I grew up thinking women didn't like sex and they didn't like men who wanted to have sex with them. They thought we were pervs or creeps, you know, kind of. And our guys will say, well, how can I approach a woman without looking like I'm hitting on her or I'm a perv? Well, number one, you are hitting on her, and number two, why does that make you a perv? You know, you need to clear out your own baggage. So if you've repressed the very reason why you're talking to a woman, you're talking to her because she has boobs. That's why you're talking to her. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't bother. You wouldn't go through all the anxiety and struggle and difficulty. But she's got boobs, and inside, Mother Nature wired you to want to see her boobs with no clothes on. And you know the rest of the story from there, where that supposed to go. But, for example, if you repress your sexual agenda and go, no, I'm talking to you because I want to impress you that I'm a nice guy. Oh, sure, I'll help your sister move. Oh, sure, I'll buy you another drink. Oh, sure, I'll listen to you talk about your problems with your mother for the next 45 minutes while I'm bored to tears. But sure, I'll do all of that because I want you to like me and think I'm a nice guy. Creates no emotional tension because you've repressed the real reason why you're spending any amount of time with her. Okay, so I tell men, you know, don't repress your sexual agenda. Bring your sexual agenda to the table. Well, guys being kind of black and white will mean, well, are you saying that I just should walk up to her and blurt, I want to have sex with you? And I'll go, actually, I'm going to try to help you learn a little finesse along the way, you know, to learn a little subtlety, a little dance, a little give and take. You know, that's actually what makes the leading up to sex interesting. It's not just that, hey, I like your tits, I want to see you naked. There's a finesse to it.
But there's no tension there, is there? There's no tension if you come up and say
that. Well, actually, there can be. You know, there can be.
Well, yeah.
And believe it or not, by being a total dork, you can actually create some tension. And believe it or not, you may get some positive results. Now, when I say have your sexual agenda intact, that doesn't mean approach a woman with an attachment to an outcome. Now, as you said earlier, that leads to suffering. Buddha said that, I don't know, 2,600 years ago, is that attachment is the cause of all suffering. And guys will say, what does that mean, Dr. Glover? And I say, when you are emotionally attached to a specific outcome, I want that smoking hot woman to like me and have sex with me. Okay, you're attached to an outcome. You're emotionally attached to a specific outcome. That will cause you to suffer, either because you won't go talk to her at all, or if you do go talk to her, you'll be awkward and not yourself, or if you ever do actually get a connection with her, you will tolerate all kinds of bullshit from her. You know, you'll put her on a pedestal. She won't give much back. You'll give way too much. So you're going to suffer.
And chase her. Yeah.
All that stuff. So, yes, have your agenda intact. But whenever you are emotionally attached to a specific outcome, even if that outcome is, I don't want to look foolish or be embarrassed or get shot down. If you're emotionally attached to never wanting to be embarrassed or look foolish or get shot down, you're still going to suffer because you're emotionally attached to a specific outcome. So yes, you got to be willing to get shot down, to look foolish, to maybe, you know, embarrass yourself every now and then, to risk, you know, shooting and missing the target. You got to be willing to risk, but you can't do it with an attachment. So trying to get someone to like you, trying to please them, trying to seduce them, kill emotional tension because you're being way too nice, you're trying to please them, you're doing everything for them, and they're going, ho hum, ho hum, ho hum, ho hum. But if you're doing some other things, like just being you, like if you have something that comes out, just blurting. You and I are both pretty good at that, but we've developed it.
What are you fucking talking about? I don't blurt.
So, and I swear all the time and stuff like this. I have to really like hold back. Like, okay, how much can I swear in this situation? But you know what? When I get bantering with a woman, I'm smart, I'm clever. I can get raunchy, I can get playful. I'm going to dance with her, right? I'm not going to hold it back. I remember, speaking of dancing, I met a woman one time. I actually went on a Match.com date with her. And after one date, I didn't feel it. Now, she actually wanted to go out with me again. I met her on her lunch break. She said, you know, I was stressed from work. Can we do it again? I said, nah, I don't feel anything. I don't know, 6 months later, I was in a salsa class, and at the end of the class, a woman walks by and gives me that look like she knows me, and I'm thinking, I do know her, that hair, I know. Oh, I went on a Match.com date with her. So I went over and talked to her, and I said, hey, you know, I don't remember your name, but I do remember your hair. And so we got to talking, and I'd caught the bus there. It was raining. I had an umbrella. I said, do you have a car? And she said, yeah. And I said, tell you what, if you'll give me a ride to the bus, I'll buy you a drink first. And she said, sure, okay. So we walked out. There was a little bar nearby, and we both sat down in this little booth, and we're talking and sharing a drink, and I didn't have much money with me, only about enough to get the bus back home, but enough to get a couple margaritas. And we're talking, and we're flirting, and I'm not holding back, even though I hadn't wanted to go out with a woman. Again, we're having a nice vibe and engaging, and she had a dress on, and I noticed she had on pantyhose. And I got up to go to the bathroom. I came back, and I thought, hey, I'm feeling a buzz. I'm feeling aroused. I'm enjoying. We're sitting next to each other. We're connecting. We're talking. She's already let me know her son had friends over at her house that night. And I sat back down. No, she had on hose. And I said, you know what? Go to the ladies' room and take your hose off. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah. Now, I didn't pre-plan that. I didn't pre-think it. It just seemed like a good idea. She goes, okay. Goes back, comes back down, sits down. Now she's got nice, smooth skin I can touch, sitting next to me. And I had to check if she took her panties off too. I had to just find out, and she left them on. And then I said, I can't remember what the next thing was, but basically I said, why don't you take me home? And she said, okay. And she did, and spent the night. And all of that was because I just blurted. I didn't hold back. I was willing to have an edge. I wasn't trying to get her to like me. There was already a vibe there. There was nothing going on. And she ended up spending the night with me. All because I was willing to risk and not hold back. And even telling her to go take her hose off was just a test. It was a test to see how high her interest was, how much further I could go with it. And she wanted it to go further. So basically, I only told her to do what she already wanted to do. And in fact, that's one of the things I teach men about creating emotional tension with women is telling women. In fact, I teach guys to 3 T's. Touch. I was touching her leg, touching. Tease. We were playful, just back and forth. Tell. Tell her to do something. Tell her to do a lot of things. I told her to go take her hose off. She goes, really? I said, yeah. She goes, okay. So she wanted to. I told her to do something she already wanted to do. I told her, well, take me home. She goes, okay. She wanted to.
Yeah, that's
touch, tease, tell.
Touch, tease, yeah. And so I'm curious. So what if she didn't respond well to it, and like how would you have handled that? Just so everybody can hear. I'm curious too. Like how I have an idea of how I would handle it, but I want to hear what you.
You know, most guys worry about getting a drink thrown in their face. I've never actually seen that happen. I've never had it done to me. I think it only happens on bad Hollywood, rom-coms, the romantic comedies. But actually, the woman that throws the drink in the guy's face often ends with him later. See, the thing was, I wasn't attached to outcome.
Right.
I'd already decided previously after the first date I wasn't interested in seeing her again. I had no attachment. I was sitting with her. I enjoyed her company. Yeah, she had really beautiful red hair. She was, obviously liked me. She was engaging. But the whole process was a series of tests. When I said, hey, do you have a car? Can you take me to the bus stop? And I said, tell you what, before you take me to the bus stop, tell you what, let's go get a drink. I'll buy a drink. So I don't have much money in my pocket, but I got enough for a couple of drinks. She goes, okay, let's do it. I kept testing, and she kept saying yes. She kept saying yes. So we sat down, and we could have sat on opposite sides of the booth, but I said, hey, scoot in. I'll sit down next to you. That was still a test. I kept being bold. I mean, I just came from salsa class, right, where I was practicing leading for an hour. So I just kept leading. So I said, scoot over. I'll sit next to you. We're talking. We're touching. My hand's on her leg. I'm doing things. So there was a series of tests all evening long. It wasn't just like I said, ooh, I think I'll tell some woman that I haven't even talked to her, there's no vibe, to go take her pantyhose.
Yeah, and absolutely, I get that. But just for somebody else also listening too, and obviously she wouldn't have thrown her drink in your face, I think, but if she was like,
well, I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
If you're not attached to the outcome, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I wasn't. I didn't care if she came home with me or not. If she did, I assumed we'd have fun. If she didn't, I was planning on going home alone anyway. So it didn't matter to me. Yeah. I like being alone in my own pad. It's fine with me. So I just was testing and escalating the testing. If I reached a point of escalating the testing where I got low interest, i.e., no, I'm not going to do that. If I got that kind of response, I would have just still been playful with her. And I said, okay, we'll save that till later. Or I would have said something to just stay playful, stay phallic, stay energized with her, but not tried to make something happen. And all of that, I wasn't trying to make anything happen. It was really just a series of me leading and seeing if she followed. And every time I led, she followed.
Right. And it's so important just to feel through that. And women are already naturally better at that or conditioned that way than men. But I think also important is that not to collapse if something like that happens for anybody listening. It's like if you take an ego shot and get offended and then it gets all like, don't do that. You got to work on that through that ego stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another quick story. Actually, it's long, but I'll give you a quick version. You asked the question, what do you do if you got low interest? And when I work with guys, I used to try to get them to take the R word out of their vocabulary, rejection. Guys are, what if she rejects me? What if I get rejected? And I actually can teach men that rejection doesn't hurt. I can do some exercises with them to prove to them rejection doesn't hurt. Now, I can't actually logically convince them it doesn't because it's an emotion, and they go, no, it hurts when I get rejected. It actually really doesn't.
No, that's just
what we play up in our head about a low interest response, we can make ourselves miserable with it, but the low interest response doesn't hurt. You got to be willing to get low interest responses and just accept them. So the other example, several years ago, I was jogging near my house in Bellevue, and it's right on a lake across from Seattle, and I'm jogging in the part of town like where all the millionaires live, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all the people live on the lake, and there's this neat little park. Hot Sunday afternoon, got done with my jog, went down, sat by the lake on the grass, and there was a woman lying on her side in a white bikini, string bikini. And from the back, all I could see was her body and thought, oh, spectacular. Now, like I said approaching a woman just because you think she's smoking hot is the worst reason to approach her. But my voice in my head said, oh, women like that aren't interested in guys like you. And I thought, oh, that voice just came up. And I believed that voice most of my life. I didn't think much else of it other than, well, I'm not going to just take that on face value, that voice is true. And then she sat up, and I looked at her, and I thought maybe she's in her 20s by her body, but from her face, I could tell she's probably in her mid to late 30s. And she got up and walked down the dock and walked back, and I thought, I'm enjoying the view. And I sat about 10 feet from her just to enjoy the view. And she sat back down in her blanket and got out a book. And There Is a God in Heaven. I'd read the book. And I just kind of said, how do you like the book? And she had an accent. She was from Germany. She was on holiday. She came over there with a friend, and the friend was working. She was sitting by the lake. We talked the rest of the afternoon. And I even said, you want to go get dinner with me this evening? And she says, well, I don't know what my friend's up to. Well, keep the story short, she agreed later to meet up with me and have dinner. Now, her hotel was just like 4 or 5 blocks from my apartment. So I walked over and got her, walked and had dinner, took her back to my apartment. And it's still light. It wasn't real late. It was summer night. And took her out on my deck, and we sat and got a glass of water. No big deal. And then walked back into my living room. I went to give her a kiss. Still just testing. And I got the cheek. I thought, okay. Didn't care, didn't make anything of it. It was just a test to see how high her interest was. She's in a strange man's apartment. She doesn't know what's happening. She's only known me for a couple hours. Okay, no big. Maybe it's just low interest. Maybe it was just shyness things. I don't know. So I said, well, tell you what, I'll walk you back to your hotel. It's still light out. Go across this real busy intersection. So I take her hand, and I lead her across the busy intersection. And we get to the other side. She keeps holding my hand. That's a good sign. Walk her back to her hotel, tell her good night, tell her, hey, I'd like to see you again while you're still in town. And this time I put my arm around her and pull her in and give her a kiss, and then is full out lip lock. She's just all over it. Every night the rest of that week she spent in my bed until she went back to Germany. She was a smart lady, multilingual. She was a pharmacist, ran the family company. I think she fell head over heels for me. But my brain had said, women like that, don't go for guys like you. So I tested. I was bold. I even got a rejection in there, but I didn't back away. I didn't try to make anything happen. Crossing the street, I just take her hand, because that's the kind of guy I am. She holds on to my hand. I think, I'll try again. And it turned out well. Plenty of times I've given a woman a kiss, took their hand, put an arm around her, told them to do something, and got low interest, and it didn't go anywhere. That's fine. No harm, no foul. But if you don't try, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you don't try, you don't create any emotional attention for the woman either.
Right. And I've had that many times too, where it's initially this, that, and then the floodgates open because, and who knows what the reason was. And of course, there's times where it just doesn't.
Don't try and figure it out.
It happens right away.
The reason is you created emotional tension, and she wanted more of the feeling that gave her. And so as long as you kept doing those things that created the feeling for her, she not only wanted to keep being with you, and I'm going to use a term here, she kept wanting to be deeply penetrated by you, by your mind, your humor, your body, your hands, your penis. She wanted all of you inside of her. And that's how women are wired. They're wired to be penetrated by a bold, energetic, confident man. Mother Nature wired them, just like Mother Nature wired us. We don't have to think about those boobs on the screen or those boobs on a real live woman. We don't have to think. We know what we want. Mother Nature wired to respond to a man that creates that kind of bold tension for them because they're going, this guy could conquer the world. This guy can keep me safe. This guy can keep my world spinning. And Mother Nature wired women to want that.
Yeah, this guy can create the life he wants, do what he wants, meet who he wants or not, be by himself, be around a bunch of people. He can do whatever he wants. Is that freedom? That I think too, as men, we want that. We want to feel free, right? And when a woman feels that we're really in alignment with that, really living that, it's like one of the most attractive things. And freedom to say, blurt, freedom to go do what we want, freedom to make the money we want, freedom to exercise, create the body we want, freedom to create the happiness that we want, the great cake of a life, as you often talk about. And when we're that, it's like magnetic, not only for women, but for people, because a lot of people, many people don't live that.
You're right, and I know I've probably learned as much about emotional tension, even though this particular person, I don't think calls it that, from a guy named David Data, probably as much as anybody. Been to some of his workshops. He's great. He's amazing. He's brilliant. And I remember reading a quote by him, and I'm paraphrasing it and probably really botching it. But he's speaking to women, and he said, what women need to do is look at a man and ask themselves, where is that man's train going? And then ask themselves, is that where I want to go as well? And women need to be conscious. Is that if that man, if his train's going, I like that direction his train is going, I want to get on that train. And that's really what you're saying. If you're living a full life, if your train is going somewhere, if you get up every day and you live your life with passion. A lot of guys tell me, well, I don't know what my passion is. I said, get up every day, live with passion. Whatever you do it with passion. Whatever you're not doing with passion, stop doing it. Get up and live passionately. Shave with passion. Shower with passion and consciousness. Wash your dishes with passion and consciousness. Ride the bus to work with passion and consciousness. Don't be distracted in your phone, whatever. Live that bold life. Be driving a train somewhere, and all of a sudden you're going to start noticing people want to climb on your train.
Yeah.
And it's the most amazing thing. And like I said, after I got divorced, and like I said, I was in my mid to late 40s, and I could not believe how many women were wanting to jump on my train. Like I said, I didn't know what planet I landed on. And the thing that still boggles me, I'm 59 as you and I talk, so I'm pushing 60. I live an abundant life, an energized life. I take good care of myself. I have fun. People around me have fun. And the amazing thing is, I haven't quite figured this out, and I don't try to figure it out. Women around my age don't really seem to approach me or come on to me, or it just doesn't happen that much. Women in their 20s and 30s do. Now, there's this part of me at 59
Yes.
that old part of me says, well, I can't act like I'm interested in a 25-year-old or a 35-year-old. That'd make me a perv. I don't care anymore. I've had 17 and 18-year-old women hit on me. Literally, I'm not making it up, and I'm not that great looking. I'm okay. I take care of myself, but I'm bold. I'm going somewhere. I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. I like me. I like the way I walk the planet, and there's no shortage of people, men and women, who enjoy riding along on the train that I'm driving. And
Yeah.
that's what I would tell the guys that are listening to this. Find your sweet spots in life. Find what excites you. Find what makes you happy. Find what lets you give back to the world. Find what energizes you and invest in that and build that and expand it. And that's what points your train in a direction. It's what builds your great cake of a life. And then you invite a great woman to be the icing on the cake. Not the cake, the icing. Invite one, whatever the metaphor is, you got something going on, and people are going to want to be around you.
Yeah, and I think a huge part of that, I love that, man. That was an inspiring rant, man. I love it. And
I don't hold back, man.
that you said, you know, you like who you are, you love who you are, and that's so important because a lot of people don't experience that with themselves, and when they feel somebody that does, there's this quite tangible yet intangible, like they don't know where it comes from, but they feel it, and they're like, this person is totally okay with themselves. They love them. Not even okay. They love themselves. They love their life, which is an extension of that. And if there's any separation of those two there, that's debatable. It's like one and the same. And then it is like that magnetic. And I love that 18-year-olds are hitting on you. I got to admit, I love that part so much.
And I'm hesitant to even share this, but I'm going to. But even, I had some friends come over the other day, and they have kids. And the 11-year-old girl walks up to me and hands me this little, is a marshmallow teddy bear on a stick, and is I guess edible, and on the front of it said, "I love you." This 11-year-old girl just comes right up and gives me this marshmallow teddy bear on a stick. I said, "It's for me," and she doesn't speak English, and I asked her in Spanish. She said, "Yeah, it's for me," and I'm thinking, I got 11-year-olds giving me gifts, and I'm not saying that I'm not a perv. But what I'm saying, babies are attracted to me. Dogs are attracted. I'm allergic to cats, and every time I go to someone's house with the cats are in my lap or sitting on my shoulder. I don't know what it is other than go live a life. Get comfortable in your own skin. Like you and like the way you live your life, and it does. It just creates an attraction. Animals will be attracted to you. Babies will be attracted to you. Grandmas will be attracted to you. And it's not just about getting hot 18-year-olds. It's just about living a life that attracts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about that, but it's an effect of that, in that having that great overall positive vibe. Not that, you know, there's not some playing on the negative polarity for attention, but I don't even think that needs to be focused on a lot. If all the fundamental stuff of being okay with yourself, saying what you think, all that stuff you've covered is something that, I don't want to say being addressed, but something you're really being true to.
It's creating a tension, whether it's tension with a dog, a cat, a baby, an 11-year-old, a 45-year-old, a buddy. It doesn't matter. You being you, when you are your own unique self, you have no competition. You create a vibe that emanates from you, and not everybody's going to be attracted to it. That's fine. Not everybody. Right. That's all right. But you don't care. Because the people that are attracted to you, not only do you bless their lives, they bless your lives, and it's this reciprocal cake. It's just wonderful, yeah. And it's the best way I know to enjoy your own life and to create that social vibe and connection. Whether again it's just with dogs and cats and 11-year-olds, or whether you're wanting to date and connect with a really great woman. Yeah. There's no difference. It's all the same game.
Awesome, man. I think you've blessed our lives by being here today. So thank you for everything. It's been wonderful. I think it's about time to wrap up the interview here. So where can they find you? Do you have any cool programs and stuff you want people?
I'm down in Mexico. Just come on down. You can find me down here.
Dips and guacamole.
You just killer margaritas. Come on down. drglover.com. This is my email address. It's just drglover. drglover.com. You know about my online university because you teach a class there, Authentic Social Influence. Several other people teach courses. I teach several courses: dating, relationship, PET course, work and career. I sell podcasts that I've recorded, probably on just about every subject. I think I have over 200 in the archive. It's $4.99. You can't go wrong with $4.99 bit of wisdom. I do long distance consultation. I do workshops and seminars. I'm doing a workshop in Seattle next weekend. I do them down here in Mexico. And do them around the country. So just go to drglover.com. It's real easy to navigate. There's a calendar on the side that tells you everything I have coming up, class-wise, seminar-wise. And just go poke around. Read my blog. There's some free stuff on there. I got a newsletter. And just, come check it out and see if you connect with it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your awesomeness here today. Please check out Doc Robert Glover, my friend and colleague here. It's just awesome. If you hadn't noticed how awesome this was, check out drglover.com and all his stuff. And yeah, I got a course there too. So check that out too. So
Authentic Social Influence. Great course.
Social Influence, baby. So it is a course for men, but I guess maybe we should start inviting some women. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I'll let you decide. You're the decider on that.
Exactly. So thanks so much for being here, Robert. Thank everybody that came to listen to this interview and all that. So until next time, I think we're complete.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Hey, if you like this video and want more tips and strategies on how to overcome your shyness, social anxiety, self-doubt, and really build the confidence in your social skills, conversational skills as much as you can, up to the best you can be, so you can have the career success, the social circles and friends, the dating life that you want, all that and more,